Welcome, guys, to podcast number 44, I believe, of Our Ketogenic Life. Today, we're going to talk about ketosis and weight loss.
Yep. A lot of people ask, do I have to be in ketosis? How do I know I'm in ketosis? And I know we've touched on this numerous times, but we thought we'll just do the ketosis and weight loss and just kind of get some, maybe 5 signs that you can know that you probably are in ketosis without having to do the test strips and spend money on all that.
So a lot of people say, do I have to be in ketosis for weight loss? And the answer is no. You do not have to be in ketosis for weight loss.
To get the benefits of a ketogenic diet.
Right.
Yeah.
You can still get the benefits, and the ketosis part of it came into effect because of the ketone bodies. Now, you produce ketone bodies for energy when you go on a ketogenic diet and you take away the standard source of energy, which is sugar. So we're taking away sugar, and your body still needs energy. So what your body does, God's pretty smart. He really is. He made us. He made an alternative fuel source. So when times when people couldn't eat, hundreds of years ago, your body could still produce energy, and the way that happened is through ketones. Now, over time, we don't really go through times of fasting. Most of us, probably everybody listening on this, there's not days where you unintentionally go days without eating, because there's grocery stores, there's restaurants everywhere. So we don't usually go without days of eating. So what happens in ketosis is when you're not eating, your insulin level goes down. So it has to be a combination of 2 different things, of decreasing your carbs, and then your insulin level, you decrease your carbs, your insulin level goes down. So then after that, then your body starts producing these ketone bodies.
From your liver, correct?
From your liver.
Yeah.
There's 3 different ones. The main one is BHB, beta hydroxybutyrate. And that's one that usually gets checked and most talked about. But your body starts producing these ketone bodies. Your whole body, including your brain, which some people initially thought you couldn't do, is used for energy.
And actually, studies, maybe we could do a whole new podcast on this. Studies show that, ketones using for your brain is very good.
That's one of the signs we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
Is you could use it's like a clean fuel source. It works much better, and if you've listened to us before, and we'll talk about this, maybe one of the signs as far as energy is there's something called ATP, which is unit of energy, and there's more ATP produced when you have ketone bodies. Now, a lot of people think, well, if you don't have to be in ketosis, why do we want to do a ketogenic diet? The main thing that people have to have is protein. You have to have some protein, and you have to have certain fats, really, as well. But, if you have a low-fat, higher carb diet, you're going to lose weight. But the problem that we see with that is with a ketogenic diet, not only are you burning the dietary fat, you're burning also the stored fat because you're not having the insulin on board.
Yeah.
Whereas if you flip that switch around and you have a higher carb diet and a lower fat diet, that insulin level is still being stimulated and you can't get to the ketone bodies because of the high insulin. So that's one of the main reasons why we want to do it the way that we think is the best way, is because of that reason. And there's some long-term reasons as well too, if you listened to us before. So there's something called nutritional ketosis, and just to touch on this real lightly, there's also something called diabetic ketoacidosis,
Which is not the same.
Right. Diabetic ketoacidosis is really when people get really sick, and
it's usually type 1.
Type 1. That means that someone has to take the insulin, and they can get diabetic ketoacidosis. So you have to be really careful if you're doing even a ketogenic diet with anything. Make sure you talk to your provider, because you can get in trouble with some things. So just make sure you follow up with a medical provider to make sure that everything is okay.
Right.
But nutritional ketosis is when you're measuring your finger stick for your ketones, it's usually between 0.5 and 3. And we're going to talk about some things that you don't have to measure and spend money, and see how that could help you direct whether you're doing well or not doing well on a ketogenic diet.
So let's come up with some 5 signs, and there's more.
Oh yeah.
But these are just kind of typical signs that that you can think, I'm probably making ketones, or I'm probably in ketosis. If you have one.
If you have mental clarity, and we talked about, with your brain using ketones, it's just not, you're not in a fog. And I think it has a lot to do with the standard American diet. You're eating a lot of sugar, which causes your insulin to go up. That's a recurring theme. And that can cause a lot of oxidative stress. And I think that causes a lot of like a brain fog. And then when you clear that up, you get rid of the processed foods, the bad oils, those types of things. And of course, we're talking about a ketogenic diet where we're not just eating anything for our macros. We're eating good fats.
Right, good fats, good proteins.
And good carbs like the vegetables. You get your mental, you just become more clear. And a lot of people can notice that. When you first start off and you're doing a ketogenic diet, you get something called keto flu, and you can, during those times, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
This is more long term.
Right.
Because
sometimes when you begin with, you don't feel as well.
Right.
Like the keto flu, you don't feel as well. Your body is when your body is transitioning from being sugar burner to a fat burner, the ketones, you don't, a lot of times for the first few weeks, you
usually
don't.
2 weeks.
Yeah. And everybody's different, but sometimes you get that keto flu. You don't feel as well. You're getting up and urinating a lot.
Right.
Sometimes you have cramps.
You're tired.
You're tired because, like I said, your body is kind of fighting. It's used to having that quick energy source. It's not getting it. Usually, you don't do as well exercising. So there are studies that show that athletes perform very well with a ketogenic diet, but they have to be on it. I mean, they have to actually get their body used to being on it. You're not going to decide before a big, like if you are a runner or
Right, and you don't want to start a ketogenic diet even
the night before.
Yeah.
Before you run, you want to get your body used to that. But then performance is supposed to be a lot better once you are used to doing ketogenic. So we want to make sure that starting off, a first few weeks you're not gonna
And
feel
the science we're talking about is after 2 to 3 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
This is what you're going to feel. This is what you have to look forward to.
Right, exactly. And then the mental clarity, some of the things that have shown, studies are showing that it is very good for your brain as far as, because some people are calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. So
that term is being more used in articles that I read a lot.
Right. So it's more than ever, it's important for us to realize to take care of our brains. That
Chronic
it really is.
disease.
Yeah. All right, number 2.
Decreased appetite. And that leads into some of the things we'll talk about here in a second. But you're just not as hungry. We've given many examples. If you're a first-time listener here, if you've not listened to a lot of our podcasts, we have people that call us and say, I missed a meal. What do I do? Right. Well, that's fine. If you're not hungry, don't eat.
That's the blessing of this type of lifestyle, is that you're not feeling, it's not like a typical diet where you are going to limit how much you eat and you're going to be hungry to the next meal. You're just waiting to the next meal. Right. When you do ketogenic lifestyle, usually you eat until you're satisfied.
Correct.
And then you can go longer periods because you're eating real food. It still drives me nuts when people say ketogenic is not healthy, or ketogenic is not sustainable. Maybe if you are trying to do ketogenic where it's an all-you-can-eat bacon and all-you-can-eat
processed food,
anything that's just labeled. You go to the stores and now, keto is the big buzzword, and it's almost like people are thinking of it as a fad diet.
Right.
That everything is labeled keto.
Right.
Well, that is not sustainable because that's not real food. Right. It doesn't matter if it's got keto on it or not. You don't even have to do that. Just go to the, your meat section of your grocery store. Go to the vegetable section of your grocery store. You can get real cheese, real sour cream, real eggs.
It tastes much better.
It tastes much better, and you just are so much more satisfied. So it decreases your appetite.
Yeah, it
for
decreases
sure.
your appetite because there's a hunger hormone called ghrelin in your stomach, and that's what makes you hungry. And it'll spike up and down all day long, at noon and then around 6 or 7 o'clock. But it actually decreases your ghrelin, and it increases your leptin, which is satiety, makes you feel full. So it helps both of those, and that's another reason why you're not as hungry. And it all goes back to your insulin and your cortisol. So there's a lot of it's hormonal, not just female hormones and male hormones, but hormonal all the way across.
Especially when you're getting those good fats.
Right.
That's really what keeps you satiated too. Your olive oils and your avocado oil. So
Butter.
Real butter, yes.
Real butter.
Bacon grease. So
Really
okay, 3. Before we go to 3, when you're decreased appetite, like I said, then some people say, "Well, I'm not hungry." That kind of automatically leads into intermittent fasting.
Right, and that's there's a couple things that you look if you really
Which
want.
we've done a podcast. We did a little
We did a
podcast.
series on those, and you can listen to those. But like as far as ketosis, there's a couple things you need to really kind of do to get in ketosis. So where you're burning these and you're getting your insulin down. One of them is really getting your carbs low. If you can get them less than 20, it'd be great. The fasting, just like Danae talks about, the intermittent fasting, because if you're not eating, your insulin's not being produced, therefore it's not spiking. Makes sense. You're keeping that down. Exercising can help as well. And then there's certain oils that are really good for this. It's like MCT oil and coconut oil.
Medium chain triglyceride.
Those two are really good because they bypass your stomach. They go kind of right directly to your liver, and the ketones are produced that way. So, there's some things you can do there to help with this ketosis, and it's going to help with all these signs that we're talking about here.
So, all right, so then 3, of course, leads to
weight loss.
Weight loss.
So if you're still losing weight and you're doing well with this, now there'll be some times when you stall because your body's really complicated. It's not just a one, column machine. When you're talking about hormones, and we just mentioned things like ghrelin, insulin, even your thyroid, your leptin, your cortisol, all those. It's like a soup. All right, it's not like just you got cortisol over here, you got insulin over here, you got your thyroid over here. When you adjust one hormone by doing different things, you affect the other ones. So with weight loss, if most people will lose weight and they'll continue to lose weight. If you're stalling, then if it's just a couple of days, don't worry about it. If it's a couple of weeks, then maybe we need to adjust something.
Maybe you're eating too much cheese.
Yeah.
Maybe
add some fasting. Maybe there's all kinds of different things you can do on a stall, and I think we actually did a podcast on that one time. So just go back and check that out. But usually you'll see weight loss, and that's usually why people come to us.
And then women, we're going to do a one about just women.
It's going to take more than one.
Right, probably. Well, because different phases, as women go through, some people have said before, well, keto messed up my, as a hormones, whatever. Well,
changing your
diet,
no matter what
right, because you go back to eating healthy is not going to ruin your body.
Right.
It might change things up. Your body is used to being your body wants to be in homeostasis. It wants to be staying the same. No matter what that is, it doesn't want to change.
Right.
And so if you've been doing something for 20 years of eating a certain way, yes, changing your diet is going to change up your bowels. It's going to change up your so we're going to do one on women because
and really we need to do one on like menopausal, perimenopausal,
right. If somebody has a cycle, a normal cycle, if you're it's perimenopausal, it really is.
Yeah. So you have to treat it individualized.
Right. Yes. But it's definitely worth it because
the way you feel.
The way you feel.
So
yes.
So far, if you get mental clarity, you're not as hungry, you're losing weight. Hey, those 3 things.
Right.
Those are pretty good, but we're not done yet.
Right. So number 4.
More energy. Because I talked about earlier your ATP. Just think of ATP as units of energy, and they're produced by your mitochondria. And just shortly, you've got millions of cells, and with each of those cells, you got tens of thousands of mitochondria. That's a lot. So right now, it looks like there's about 36 ATP, 36 units of energy produced, with a standard American diet. With a ketogenic diet where you're burning mostly fat, it's like 42. So that's 6 units of energy. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you think about how many mitochondria, tens of thousands, in each cell, and you've got millions of cells, that's a lot of mitochondria. And a lot of the, there's only a couple cells like the red blood cells that doesn't have the mitochondria because, if you think about it, if your red blood cells has mitochondria, it's using up oxygen and not transported. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah, you're getting...
Anyway, so...
You start zoning out.
Yeah, zoning out. So, but anyway, with the more energy, you just have more. And again, it's that transition that I talked about before. First couple of weeks, you're going to think, there's no way I can't do this.
Right.
Hey, get a coach, get in our membership. We'll coach you through that so that in 2 weeks, you're going to have more energy.
Right.
Because that's happened time and time again.
Right, yes. And, because so many people want to do things. So many people think, well, I'd love to go and, ride bikes, or I'd love to go and...
Play with your grandkids.
Yeah, or, your kids. Or just, do something fun. And most of the time they're like, I don't feel like it. I just feel like, by the time, most people, by the time they go to work, then they get home and they do, whatever they have to do, then they just have no energy to do anything else.
Right.
And you think, do you really want to live the rest of your life like that?
It doesn't matter if you're 25 or 65.
Right, yeah.
You can have more energy.
Yes. Don't limit. I always think, by just what you're eating, if you can change just by what you're putting in your mouth of how you feel, yes, it would be wonderful if it was the other way around and, by eating cookies and cakes and crackers and pasta and French fries, if that was what made you feel good, that would be awesome. Yeah. But it's not. So really, I think, is it really worth by killing ourselves with what we're putting in our mouths? Slowly killing ourselves. Yeah. We're digging our grave with our forks.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. We should have that. But with the I've never heard that before. With what she's talking about, because when you're eating that cookies and all that ice cream, whatever it may be, you're hitting your dopamine, and that's your happy hormone. As long as you keep hitting that happy hormone, you're going to keep doing those things. And, if you were trying to counsel somebody to get off, cocaine, you're not going to tell them, well, eat cocaine every now, or use cocaine every now and then, every 2 or 3 days, and you'll be okay. Right. No, you're going to tell them you need to get off of it.
Right. Or for somebody to go 2 weeks, lose some weight, or them, like if they're on, some kind of drug, they feel better, they're getting off of it, they're starting to, but they get that little bit of craving, and then they do it again. Right. You're going to have to start all back over.
And we're not perfect. We've done it before.
No, yes.
But,
not cocaine.
No, not cocaine.
Cookies.
Cookies. I thought she was talking about cookies. But, having us together, doing it together, really does help.
Right.
So if you have a spouse that is not on board, have them listen to this podcast and just, listen to this part of it, and maybe help motivate them. Right. And if you need more than that, of course, we have a membership. We have people that post every day in our membership, and those are the ones that do really well.
Exactly. And we have on our Zoom conference twice a month, we get together with our members, and the ones that show up on the Zoom conference really are, it's almost like preaching to the choir. Yeah. They're the ones that they are right on, they want to do better, they're feeling good and they don't want it to stop. They want to learn more of, okay, well, I'm doing good with this. Now what's the next level? How's something I can, add to it or take away? So it is a community that helps one another.
It does.
And you'd think that, and there's all kinds of, you can get information everywhere.
Right.
But that's where a lot of people get in trouble. By not having somebody they can really trust to say, we have your best interest, that we've been there, done that. We want to help you reach your goals and feel the best that you can for as long as you can. That's our goal. All right, so number 5, last but not least,
is you're not hangry.
I don't really like that word.
I like it. It's a combination of being hungry and angry at the same time.
I mean, I'm sure I've been hangry,
yes. It's kind of like when you're eating the standard American diet. You eat your carbs, your insulin goes up, it puts it in the cells, and then all of a sudden your sugar goes down, and you just have to have something to eat. It's like, and then, you know, people can look at you and you're talking to them and you're different.
Right.
You know, because you're hangry.
Yes. And some people have actually even, like, they get, like I said, not only can you tell their change in their attitude, but like they'll break out in a cold sweat.
Yes, they have to have some. Well,
and feel, I guess is that a
your blood
symptom?
sugar, your blood sugar's dropping.
But
and
I'm
your
like,
brain's
but it's because you just had, like, you know, like if I go shopping, you know, with some of my friends, and, you know, like, they already know, they're like, okay, I know that you're probably not going to have to eat breakfast, but I've got to have something. And so I'll say, well, you know, have you already eaten something? And sometimes they'll already have eaten like a cereal bar, you know, or they'll say, well, I had, you know, a packet of peanut butter and crackers or peanut butter toast. But then within 2 hours, they can't make it.
Right.
They're like, you know, so they feel bad to come with me to ask me to have to, you know, stop somewhere for them. And then I feel bad because, like, I don't get hungry. And so it's like, I tell them all the time, I don't want you to feel bad or starve. So if you need to eat, tell me. I don't have to eat, but I can go somewhere or get you something. So it just is such a freeing, it's so freeing to not feel like you're just like, you know, you have to eat. Yeah. You have to literally, or you're not going to feel good. Right. That's a wonderful feeling to not feel like that. So anyway,
so
that was fine. Yeah.
So if you're doing a ketogenic diet, or if you're thinking about doing a ketogenic diet, after you've been started for a couple weeks, you know, look for number one, more mental clarity. Number two, your appetite goes down. 3, you're losing weight. 4, you have more energy. And 5, you're not hungry. And like Denise said, there's lots more benefits from it. But we just want to give 5 and kind of go over these, just to kind of give you some things to look for, just in case you're wondering, are you doing it right? And if you have questions, you know, let us know, email us, and we'll go from there.
And if you're in that first phase of you're nowhere near feeling like these, but sometimes you're losing weight, you know, those first week or so, you know, a lot of people can drop a lot of weight from the fluid because you're not, carbs hold on, carbs, you know, you are releasing that fluid. So, but if you are not to that phase yet, give it some time, stick with it. Like you said, reach out to us and say, hey, here's what I've been doing, and I'm still feeling like this. Is there something I need to be doing? Is there something else? Is there something wrong? Am I doing something wrong? So, but anyway, all right, so for those of us who stayed to the end, I have a problem. If anybody has any ideas, we have 2 dogs, and I've been dealing with, it's stressing me out, I've been dealing with, they both stay in the house. We've got a cream Labrador Retriever, and who sheds like crazy, but that's not even the problem.
He's not the problem today.
No, we have a Golden Doodle, and they're both, let's see, Samson the Labrador is getting ready to be 1 on September 11th. Gideon the Golden Doodle will be 1 on October the 7th. So just in the last, and they stay inside. We have a crate. We crate train them. And then, so we have an area that we let them out on our front porch, and it's blocked off with gates. And then they can go off the porch to a little graveled area that they can use the bathroom. Well, probably about a couple of months ago, Gideon, the Golden Doodle, stopped. Like, if there's anything else in the kennel, where the gravel is, if there's any other, where Samson's used the potty, he doesn't want to go down there and use the potty. So he started using it on the porch. So every blue moon, so we could deal with it. Well, now we have changed dog food because we quit ordering it. I can't remember. We couldn't get it during COVID. It didn't come in, so we had to go local and just pick up some. Well, and then since then, it's like he goes on the porch all the time. It's like he can't hold it in.
He can't hold it. It's like not just in one area. It's like
it's like little drops. So we don't know whether to get upset with him or not. So anybody who knows anything about dogs,
let us know.
Let us know, because I don't want to get upset with them, but I can't have a dog just going everywhere. I clean the porch every single day. It's driving me nuts. And so we started trying to crate them again. Like say, okay, until you go potty in the gravel, we can't trust you. So we put them back in the crate. And that still is, it's just not working right now. So that's my problem now.
Especially any vets or any dog.
Yeah, I need to call our vet and just see. But like I said, with COVID that's been going on, it's like you can't really go in and talk to them, and it's just been a pain. So I've been hoping that it was the dog food. So maybe we need to go back to that original dog food. I don't know. But anyway, so our Bible verse for tonight is from Hebrews 10:22 and 23. It is, "Let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful." Yeah. Jesus is faithful. He has cleansed us. He's cleansed our heart. He's cleansed our evil conscience and washed us, that we are pure, that not that we are sinless, not that we don't sin still, but
we have a Redeemer.
We have a Redeemer who has made that final sacrifice. If you have given your life and you have asked Christ, Jesus, to forgive you of your sins, you are in relationship with him. He has cleansed you of that sin from past, now, present, and future.
And I like the stay whole. In verse 24, I think.
23.
23.
Let us hold fast the confession.
And hold fast. It means, like hold the line. Just, when all this world's going crazy, other people are doing things that maybe isn't scriptural, even, if they're Christians. Just hold fast to what the scripture says, because God, everything that is in scripture, he has made many promises to us, and he's faithful to each and every promise.
Right.
And just no matter what the situation looks like around, it is not taking God by surprise. He knew this was going to happen. So just hold fast, weather whatever storm, because there's a reason behind it. And sometimes when we're going through those, it's really hard. Just to be honest, when you're going through a storm, nobody asked for it. But on the other side, there's so many, we can look back at our lives, there's so many benefits. You're drawing much closer to the Lord. So I just want to encourage you to hold fast. And no matter what's happening, and, this has nothing to do with, ketosis or anything, but, whether it's a job loss, whether it's a relationship problem, no matter what it is, just hold fast. Know God is faithful to his word. And, just take some time in the morning thanking him and praising him, and use this as a time that you can draw closer.
And if you don't have Jesus as your Savior and you want to know more about it, you can always reach out to us anytime. And or if you don't believe, that's okay too. We would pray with you to maybe answer some questions.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. So. All right, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a blessed weekend.
All right, remember, be fit and be faithful.